The City Council Committee on Administration and Finance, co-posted with the Committee of the Whole, will meet in person today, Thursday, June 8th at 6 p.m. for the purpose of discussing capital improvement plans, 5-year capital improvement plan, revolving funds, budget transfers out, first passage of our fiscal year 2024 general fund capital bond order, first passage of the water and sewer bond, acceptance of a tax title collection revolving fund, appropriation from retained earnings for water and sewer, appropriation from retained earnings for solid waste, and short-term CIP appropriation. This meeting is being held primarily in City Council chambers at 93 Washington Street on the second floor. Notice of this meeting was posted on May 31st, 2023 at 2:37 p.m. Members of the public unable to join us in chambers may view on Zoom by using webinar ID 863-5557-889 and entering password 796289. Joining us from the Committee on Administration and Finance are Councilors Hapworth, Councilor Merkel, Councilor Stott, and remotely Councilor Watson-Felt. Also joining us from the Committee of the Whole, Councilor Varela, Councilor Prasnewski, Councilor Cohen, and Councilor Morcillo. Okay, I think that covers that. Nobody to interview tonight. So I'm going to do my best to go through the list of items that we need to approve or adopt to send to the full council so that we can pass our full budget later on this evening. And I'm going to try to do it in the right order so that everything happens correctly. So I think we are going to start with adopting the bond order for 2024 Water and Sewer Capital Improvement Program. And that bond order is in the amount of $18,982,000. Anybody who's been following along with us for the past couple of weeks knows that we've already discussed all of the associated projects in this. So what we are doing tonight is just adopting the roll-up numbers. So I will be looking for a motion to recommend adoption for first passage, the Water and Sewer Capital Improvement Program bond order in the amount of $18,982,000.
So moved.
So moved by Councilor Hapworth, seconded by Councilor Stott. And just to remind everybody, we are going to be doing a roll call vote since one of our members is remote. Councilor Hapworth.
Yes.
Councilor Merkel.
Yes.
Councilor Stott.
Yes.
And Councilor Watson-Felt. I see you saying yes, and I see you giving a thumbs up. Maybe this will be like last night. Sound will kick in a few minutes. I am also a yes, so that's 5-4-0 against, so that carries. Next, we will address the bond order for the general fund capital improvement program. So I will be looking for a motion to adopt for first passage the bond order in the amount of $4,400,000. Councilor Hapworth.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So moved.
So moved by Councilor Hapworth, seconded by Councilor Stott. Councilor Hapworth.
Yes.
Councilor Merkel.
Yes.
Councilor Stott.
Yes.
And Councilor Watson-Felt. Yes, I see the yes once again. Double thumbs up this time. I am also a yes. That is 5 in favor. That matter carries. Next, I will be looking for a motion to adopt an appropriation from the retained earnings of the water sewer funds to capital improvement funds in the amount of $450,000. Councilor Hapworth.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So moved.
So moved by Councilor Hapworth, seconded by Councilor Stott. Councilor Hapworth.
Yes.
Councilor Merkel.
Yes.
Councilor Stott.
Yes.
And Councilor Watson-Felt. Yes, I see the yes. I am also a yes. That is 5 in favor. That matter carries. Next, I'll be looking for a motion to adopt an appropriation in the amount of $160,000 to the trash fund for the trash truck replacement. Folks may recall that we have some bond order money that's going to be supporting this, but this is from the general fund. Councilor Hapworth.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So moved.
So moved by Councilor Hapworth. Seconded by Councilor Stott. Councilor Hapworth.
Yes.
Councilor Merkel.
Yes.
Councilor Stott.
Yes.
Councilor Watson-Felt. Yes, thumbs up. I am also a yes, so that is 5 in favor. That carries. Okay. So next up will be adopting a section of Mass General Law, Chapter 60, Section 15B, to allow the city to establish a tax title collection revolving fund for the collector. Councilor Stott?
Could we have Anna just give a high-level overview of what that means? If
Absolutely, sure.
Thank you.
Sure. Thank you. So a tax title revolving fund is recommended as best practice from the Department of Revenue. Currently, right now, when the city has to go through the process of tax title, which is not a process we hope to ever have to do, but it is something that does happen, the costs associated with that are being borne by the city. And when we do ultimately collect, the accounting construct there isn't necessarily within the same fiscal year. It's having it's having a, I don't want to say challenging effect from an accounting perspective, but it's having not the best practice effect from an accounting perspective. And so a tax title revolving fund, which I believe was particularly put forward in the Municipal Modernization Act back in 2016, was to help municipalities sort of deal with those timing dynamics with tax title funds. But it is intended to pay for the costs for any fees, charges, and other costs incurred under the relevant section, and for the monies to come back in. So when certain items are settled up, the costs are only passing through the city to pay back for some of the attorney's fees and other things that are involved. And so the way we're accounting for it right now, it's not ideal from a financial statement perspective. So this would allow for us to come into compliance with best practice.
If I may, so is it almost like an escrow type account for it to keep its
Yeah, that might be an appropriate way to think about it. It's intended to be a self-sustaining. Self-sustaining. The funds come in, they go out. It's not intended to be impacting the general fund in any way. So we want to carve everything out. So the general fund, right now, we're actually adjusting revenues when certain things come in. That's not the best way to go about doing that.
And we have a number of other revolving funds already established for the city, correct?
Yes, correct. Those are up next, I believe.
Right. So, like, just for everybody who's trying to make, like, what would be a couple of other examples of folks who are making use of revolving funds right now?
Oh, sure. So we have several here in the city, and they're allowed. There's an entire list from the state because revolving funds are set up under statute, and you're only allowed to use them for certain things. So here in the city of Salem, we are utilizing the statutes that allow for certain funds related to council on aging programs, for telecom fees, for the electrical department, for certain types of training and special equipment for the fire department, harbor master, health department. There are, I believe Parks and Rec has several that the director of Parks and Recreation referenced the other night, dog park, and planning and community development and sustainability for some of the solar credits, et cetera. So it's a broad breadth of types of funds that we're allowed to utilize as long as they're consistent with the statutes that allow us to do that.
Excellent. Thank you. Okay, so, but in order to do that, we are going to first deal with adopting the section of Mass General Law to create this tax title collection revolving fund, and then next we will do all the funds for the upcoming fiscal year. So, in the matter of accepting Mass General Law, Chapter 60, Section 15B, to allow the city to establish a tax title collection revolving fund for the collector, looking for a motion to adopt. Councilor Hapworth.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So moved.
So moved by Councilor Hapworth, seconded by Councilor Stott. Councilor Hapworth.
Yes.
Councilor Merkel.
Yes.
Councilor Stott.
Yes.
And Councilor Watson-Felt.
Yes.
Hey, all right.
Yay.
I am also a yes, so that's 5 in favor. The matter carries. And now we will adopt for fiscal year 2024 the entire list of revolving funds for the city of Salem pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Section 53E1/2, which now includes the one we just created. Looking for a motion to adopt. Councilor Hapworth.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to adopt the revolving funds in the amount of $1,558,000.
So moved by Councilor Hapworth, seconded by Councilor Stott. Councilor Hapworth?
Yes.
Councilor Merkel?
Yes.
Councilor Stott?
Yes.
Councilor Watson-Felt?
Yes.
And I am also a yes. That is 5 in favor. That matter carries. Next, I will be looking for a motion to adopt an appropriation of $9,904,152 for fiscal year 2024 short-term capital improvement plan.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
the number I have for that is 3,904,152. I thought I may have heard something different. I just want to make sure it's reflected in your material.
Well, I read 9 million, so that is definitely a different number. So let's go to the book.
The yeah. For short-term capital, yes, 3,904,152. Yes. See you, John. Oh, yes. As it does, it looks like there's just a typo on the agenda that the 9 was in there twice. But I can pull up in the budget book. In the tab 7, capital plan by funding source on page 365. Fund 2000 is the short-term capital fund, and that totals 3,904,152. That is page 365, and it goes on to page 366 in tab 7. It should be the capital plan by funding source should be the title in the upper left hand. And the Fund 2000 is the same thing as short-term capital.
Okay. So just a slight typo. Thank you for catching that. So we are adopting an appropriation of $3,904,152 for fiscal year 2024 short-term capital improvement plan. Councilor Hapworth?
So moved.
So moved by Councilor Hapworth, seconded by Councilor Stott. Councilor Hapworth?
Yes.
Councilor Merkel?
Yes.
Councilor Stott?
Yes.
And Councilor Watson-Felt.
Fort Myers.
I am also a yes. That's 5 in favor. That carries. And now I will be looking for a motion to adopt the fiscal year 2024 proposed 5-year CIP. And the number that I am looking at is $39,309,562. Councilor Hapworth.
So moved.
So moved by Councilor Hapworth,
Second, can you repeat that number?
Yes, seconded by Counselor Stott. The figure is 39,309,562. That's what I'm looking at.
What page are you looking at?
I'm on page 360.
360. Thank you.
Okay. Counselor Hapworth,
Yes.
Counselor Merkel,
Yes.
Counselor Stott,
Yes.
and Counselor Watson-Felt.
Yes.
I am also a yes. That's 5 in favor. The matter carries.
Mr. Chair, I believe before there may be a final vote on the total number for the budget, there's one item remaining actually in the departmental budgets, which is the budget transfer out, which is in tab 27. And these are there are two transfers that have been recently, in at least the last several years, transferred out of the general fund to two other funds. The first is the retirement stabilization for $600,000, and that fund is something that is a great practice that the city of Salem does that some other communities don't do, which is to, in an effort to avoid significantly fluctuating needs based on retirements to pay out staff, earned vacation or sick time based on contractual obligations. Having a retirement stabilization fund allows for those appropriations to be made through that fund and not affect the department's bottom lines. And so this would again capitalize that, consistent with previous years, in $600,000. And then the other $50,000 is to the Salem 2026 fund, which is consistent with the past several years for an appropriation there.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions on that before we proceed? Okay, so I'll be looking for a motion to adopt the budget transfer from the general fund to the retirement stabilization fund and to the Salem 2026 fund in the total amount of $650,000. Counselor Hapworth?
So moved.
So moved by Counselor Hapworth,
Second.
seconded by Counselor Stott. Counselor Hapworth,
Yes.
Counselor Merkel,
Yes.
Counselor Stott,
Yes.
Counselor Watson-Felt.
Yes.
I am also a yes. That's 5-4. The matter carries. All right, let's see if I can get to our final roll-up number.
If needed, I can also provide that briefly. For the general fund, the total is 173,912,891. And then the total for the enterprise funds is 20406,618. And then together, it's 194,319,509.
I'm going to ask you to repeat those, but I'm also going to ask you if there's a place that folks can refer to it within the book already.
Yes. This place. Apologies, I'm trying to find the summary page. Here it is. The easiest place potentially is the tax recap sheet which at the bottom, so on page 48 and 49, I can direct you, the lines that look a little bit different than the vote worksheet that I have, but the page 49 is the best place under expenditures. Halfway down the page, under the general fund subtotal, is the number 173,912,891. And then further down under the enterprise subtotal is 20,406,618. And then the general fund plus enterprise fund 194,319,509. The items that are below that on this worksheet are not yet. Those are items that come up in the fall if needed.
Okay. Everybody following along? Good? Okay. So I will be looking for a motion to adopt the general fund total of 100, excuse me. The general fund total of 173,912,891. The enterprise total of 20,406,618 for a total of 194,319,509. Councilor Hapworth.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So moved.
So moved by Councilor Hapworth. I can't hear you.
Oh. I do believe on the council agenda, they are separate, that the general fund is a separate individual vote. And actually each of the enterprise funds are separate individual votes with a total. And then I believe then there is a vote on the total of all of that. So there are 5 votes.
Councilor Watson-Felt, I'm realizing that you can't hear us. So what we're discussing is taking separate votes for each of the enterprise funds as well as the operating fund because they are separate votes on the main agenda later on this evening.
Yes, I followed. Thanks to Anna. Thank you so much.
So why don't we start with the general fund subtotal and then we'll move through sewer, water, trash, and PEG. Councilor Hapworth?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to move to approve the general fund subtotal in the amount of 173,912,891.
Councilor Hapworth moves to recommend approval of the general fund subtotal in the amount of 173,912,891. Seconded by Councilor Stott. Councilor Hapworth?
Yes.
Councilor Merkel?
Yes.
Councilor Stott?
Yes.
And Councilor Watson-Felt?
Yes.
I am also a yes. That's 5 in favor. It carries. I'll take a motion on the sewer enterprise fund. Councilor Hapworth?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to move to approve the sewer enterprise fund in the amount of 20,406,618.
So
Is that correct?
that's the,
It would be just a few lines up. So the 20 million is the
I see, I'm
subtotal of
sorry.
all center.
In the amount of 8,444,461.
second.
Councilor Hapworth moves to recommend approval of the sewer enterprise fund budget in the amount of 8,444,461, seconded by Councilor Stott. Councilor Hapworth?
Yes.
Councilor Merkel?
Yes.
Councilor Stott?
Yes.
And Councilor Watson-Felt?
Yes.
I am also a yes. That's 5 in favor. That carries. Moving on to the water enterprise fund. Councilor Hapworth?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to move to approve the water enterprise fund in the amount of 7,146,646.
Second.
Councilor Hapworth moves to approve the water enterprise fund in the amount of 7,146,646, seconded by Councilor Stott. Councilor Hapworth?
Yes.
Councilor Merkel?
Yes.
Councilor Stott?
Yes.
Councilor Watson-Felt?
Yes.
I am also a yes. That's 5 in favor. The matter carries. Trash. Councilor Hapworth?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to motion to approve the trash enterprise fund in the amount of 4,124,261.
Second.
Councilor Hapworth moves to recommend approval of the trash enterprise fund in the amount of 4,124,261, seconded by Councilor Stott. Counselor Hapworth?
Yes.
Counselor Merkel?
Yes.
Counselor Stott?
Yes.
Counselor Watson-Felt?
Yes.
I am also a yes. That's 5 in favor. That carries. And PEG access cable. Counselor Hapworth.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to recommend approval of the PEG access cable in the amount of $691,250.
Second.
Counselor Hapworth moves to recommend approval of the PEG access cable in the amount of $691,250, seconded by Counselor Stott. Counselor Hapworth?
Yes.
Counselor Merkel?
Yes.
Counselor Stott?
Yes.
Counselor Watson-Felt?
Yes.
I am also a yes. That's 5 in favor. The matter carries. Do we need the enterprise subtotal for our agenda later on?
Yeah, we have a vote on it.
Okay.
20.
Historically, yes.
So let's do our enterprise subtotal, and then we'll do general plus enterprise, and then we'll get out of this meeting. Counselor Hapworth.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to recommend approval of the enterprise subtotal in the amount of $20,406,618.
Second.
Counselor Hapworth moves to recommend approval of the enterprise subtotal in the amount of $20,406,618, seconded by Counselor Stott. Counselor Hapworth.
Yes.
Counselor Merkel.
Yes.
Counselor Stott.
Yes.
Counselor Watson-Felt.
Yes.
I am also a yes. That's 5 in favor. It carries. And now the total general fund plus enterprise fund. Counselor Hapworth.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to recommend approval of this total general fund and enterprise fund in the amount of $194,319,509.
Second.
Counselor Hapworth moves to recommend approval of the total general fund plus enterprise fund in the amount of $194,319,509, seconded by Counselor Stott. Counselor Hapworth.
Yes.
Counselor Merkel.
Yes.
Counselor Stott.
Yes.
Counselor Watson-Felt.
Yes.
I'm also a yes. That's 5 in favor. That matter carries. Finance Director, have we missed anything?
Not that I'm aware of.
We know where the bread is buttered in this room. If we have done everything, I'll take one last motion. Counselor Hapworth.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn by Counselor Hapworth. Seconded by Counselor Stott. We still have one remote, so we'll do a roll call. Counselor Hapworth.
Yes.
Counselor Merkel.
Yes.
Counselor Stott.
Yes.
Counselor Watson-Felt.
Yes.
I am also a yes. We are adjourned.